He tried to crush my career, so my lover and I built an empire from the ashes. The fluorescent lights of the newsroom buzzed like angry hornets, casting harsh shadows across Alex Harper's desk piled high with dog-eared files and half-empty coffee mugs that reeked of stale ambition. It was 2 a.m. in the heart of Manhattan, the kind of hour where the city's pulse thrummed low and desperate, and Alex, her eyes burning from 12 straight hours of chasing leads, finally cracked. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, the cursor blinking like a taunt. One story. One explosive piece on corporate corruption that could topple empires, or bury her alive. She hit send, the email whooshing into the void toward her editor Harlan Voss. Harlan, with his slicked-back silver hair and shark's grin, the man who'd mentored her from intern to star reporter at the Daily Pulse. The man who'd whispered promises of Pulitzer glory, while his hand lingered too long on her shoulder. The man who'd seethed when she shut him down, cold and clear. "I'm flattered, Harlan, but I'm with someone. A woman who sees me, not just the byline." His laugh had been a bark, eyes narrowing like storm clouds. "You'll regret that, Harper. Talent like yours? It's fragile." Now, as the clock ticked toward dawn, regret tasted like ash on her tongue. But she exhaled slow, the air thick with printer ink and regret, and leaned back, whispering to the empty room. "Screw you." The hook was in. Harlan's web of bribes, backroom deals with the very tycoon she exposed. It would hit the morning edition like a grenade, or so she thought. By sunrise, the backlash hit harder than a subway derailment. Alex's phone erupted, voicemails from anonymous numbers hissing threats, texts from colleagues she trusted. "What the hell, Alex?" "Voss is furious." She stumbled into the kitchen of her cramped Brooklyn walk-up, the floorboards creaking under her bare feet like old bones protesting the weight of betrayal. Jordan was there, already up, her lover's silhouette framed against the window where the East River glittered under a reluctant sun. Jordan Reyes, with her easy grace and that laugh like wind chimes in a summer gale, poured coffee from their ancient percolator, the rich, nutty aroma curling through the air like a promise. At 29, Jordan was the spark to Alex's fire. A freelance coder turned app developer, her days spent in hoodies and noise-canceling headphones, building worlds and lines of code that felt more real than the one trying to chew them up. They'd met 2 years back at a queer tech mixer in the village, Alex nursing a whiskey sour after a brutal deadline, Jordan demoing a dating app for women who loved women. No algorithms forcing straight narratives. One shared eye roll at a cis guy's mansplaining later, and they were tangled in a cab ride home, lips crashing like waves on concrete. Now, as Alex slumped against the counter, Jordan turned, her dark eyes softening with that instinctive worry, the one that made Alex's chest ache with gratitude. "Babe," Jordan murmured, sliding the mug into her hands, their fingers brushing in that electric way that still sent sparks up Alex's arm. "You look like you wrestled a ghost and lost." Alex managed a wry smile, but it cracked as she scrolled the news alerts. Her byline was gone. The story? Pulled. Replaced by a terse note. Editorial decision. And then the email from HR. Suspension pending investigation. Fabricated plagiarism claims. Sources she protected for months, now recanting under pressure. Harlan's doing, no doubt, his fingerprints all over the smear campaign lighting up social media. Harper hoax trended, trolls dissecting her life like vultures. Lesbian witch hunt? One quipped. Alex's stomach twisted, the coffee turning bitter. "He gutted me, Jord. For saying no. For being us." Jordan pulled her close, the warmth of her body a shield against the chill seeping through the cracked window pane. Jordan's heartbeat thrummed steady against Alex's ear, a rhythm that drowned out the distant wail of sirens. "Then we burn it down," Jordan whispered fiercely, her breath hot against Alex's temple. "Not him. From the ashes, remember." Alex nodded into the crook of Jordan's neck, inhaling the faint lavender of her shampoo mixed with the city's undercurrent of exhaust and rain-damp stone. But deep down in the hollow where fear gnawed, she wondered if ashes could rebuild anything but ghosts. The suspension stretched into weeks, each day a slow bleed. Alex paced their apartment like a caged panther, the walls closing in with framed clippings of her old scoops. Exposés on wage theft in the garment district, police brutality in the Bronx, now mocking her idleness. The air hummed with the low whir of Jordan's laptop fans as she hunkered down in the living room, surrounded by takeout wrappers and energy drink cans, her fingers flying across keys in a frenzy. "We're not waiting for permission," Jordan declared one rain-lashed afternoon. Thunder rumbling like distant applause over the skyline. Water pattered against the fire escape. A staccato beat that matched the rapid-fire ideas spilling from Jordan's lips. She'd always been the builder, the one who saw code as poetry, turning bugs into symphonies. Now she envisioned an app. Pulse Truth, a platform for citizen journalists, encrypted tips lines unbreakable by corporate hacks, a community-driven newsfeed crowdsourcing stories the gatekeepers buried. "For people like you," Jordan said, her voice cracking with that raw passion that made Alex fall harder every time. "Women like us." Queer voices drowned out by suits like Voss. Alex watched her mesmerized, the way Jordan's brow furrowed in concentration, a stray curl escaping to brush her cheek, the soft click of keys like Morse code confessions. It stirred something primal, a heat low in Alex's belly that cut through the despair. She crossed the room in 3 strides, cupping Jordan's face, thumbs tracing the sharp line of her jaw. "You're a genius, you know that?" Alex breathed, her lips hovering inches from Jordan's, the air between them charged like the storm outside. Jordan's eyes darkened, hands sliding up Alex's waist, bunching the fabric of her worn tee. "Only when you're looking," she replied, voice husky, pulling Alex down onto the couch in a tangle of limbs and laughter that dissolved into gasps. Rain lashed the windows as they moved together, slow at first, exploratory. Fingers mapping familiar territories, breaths mingling in sighs that echoed the thunder. Jordan's touch was fire and anchor, igniting Alex's skin while grounding her chaos. In the afterglow, sweat slicked and sated, Alex traced lazy patterns on Jordan's thigh, the room smelling of salt and desire. "We'll make it uncrushable," Alex murmured, her head on Jordan's chest, listening to the steady thump that said home. But doubt lingered, a shadow in the corners whispering of Harlan's reach. Lawsuits, blacklists, the suffocating weight of a system built to break climbers like her. Word spread through the underground networks like wildfire in dry brush. Queer bars in Hell's Kitchen buzzed with whispers of the app, drag queens at weekly brunches slipping Alex burner phones loaded with tips on everything from gentrification evictions to hidden assault scandals in Hollywood. Jordan coded through sleepless nights, her eyes ringed with shadows that Alex kissed away in the dim glow of screens, the apartment alive with the scent of microwave popcorn and printer toner as they mocked up prototypes. But Harlan struck back, vicious and precise. A cease and desist landed like a gut punch, Voss Media claiming IP theft from Alex's stolen notes. Then the doxing. Their address leaked, hate mail piling up in the lobby, slurs scrawled on envelopes, Dyke destroyers in red ink that smeared like blood. One night as hail pelted the roof like gunfire, a brick crashed through the window, shattering glass in a crystalline explosion that sprayed across the floor. Alex froze in the kitchen, shards crunching under her slippers, heart slamming against her ribs. Jordan bolted from the bedroom, wild-eyed, wrapping Alex in a blanket before the chill could sink in. "Bastards," Jordan growled, her voice a low tremor as she swept up the debris, tiny cuts beating on her palms like crimson tears. They huddled on the fire escape later, wrapped in a shared comforter, the city lights blurring through misted breath. Alex's hand shook as she lit a cigarette, bad habit, picked up in college newsrooms, the flame flickering orange against the night. "I dragged you into this," she choked out, smoke curling like ghosts. Jordan snatched the cig, taking a drag before crushing it out, her grip firm on Alex's knee. "We chose this. Together." Their kiss was salt-stung, urgent, a defiance against the dark lips bruising, hands clutching as if the world might rip them apart. Inside, amid the wreckage, Jordan unveiled the beta. Pulse Truth, live on a hidden server, first users trickling in, immigrant moms sharing raid stories, trans activists exposing clinic closures. It was fragile, a spark in the void, but as Alex's byline resurfaced in underground forums, hope flickered, warm and tentative, like dawn creeping over the bridges. The Empire's bones took shape in stolen hours, fueled by sheer bone-deep will. Jordan quit her freelance gigs, pouring every cent from their savings into cloud servers and legal consults from a pro bono queer attorney named Lena, who chain-smoked menthols in her cluttered midtown office and swore she'd bury Voss in paperwork. Alex hit the streets, notebook in hand, chasing shadows, interviewing whistleblowers in dimly lit diners where grease sizzled and forks scraped like secrets unearthed. The air was thick with fry oil and fear, voices dropping to whispers as they spilled tales of Harlan's machine. Payoffs to silence survivors, rigged elections in boardrooms. One contact, a jittery ex-assistant named Mia, clutched Alex's arm in a Soho alley, rain slicking the cobblestones, her words tumbling out in a rush. He ruined me too, called me unprofessional for dating women. Said I'd never work in this town again. Alex nodded, ink smudging on wet pages, her coat heavy with damp wool. Back home, she fed the stories into the app, Jordan weaving them into interactive maps that lit up like neural networks. Hotspots of corruption pulsing red across the 5 boroughs. Their nights blurred into a rhythm of creation and collapse. Jordan slumped over her desk at 4 a.m., code compiling with a satisfied chime, Alex massaging knots from her shoulders, lips brushing the nape of her neck in silent thanks. "You're my North Star," Alex would murmur, eliciting a sleepy grin that lit Jordan's face brighter than any screen. But the high crested with crashes, server outages from DDoS attacks, traced to Voss proxies, fundraisers on GoFundMe slashed by bots. Harlan's face sneered from a press conference on TV, his voice oily through the static. Certain elements seek to undermine truth. We'll defend our integrity. Alex hurled the remote, plastic cracking against the wall, her scream raw and ragged. Jordan caught her mid-fall, holding tight as sobs racked Alex's frame, the room echoing with muffled cries and the distant honk of cabs. "He won't win," Jordan vowed, her fingers threading through Alex's hair, tugging gently until their foreheads touched. "Because we have this." She kissed Alex then, slow and searing tongues tracing promises, bodies arching in the wreckage of cushions and cables, a reclaiming fierce and unyielding. In the quiet after, as rain whispered against the panes, Alex felt the shift. Not just survival but sovereignty. The app hit 10,000 users overnight. A viral threat from a Bronx teacher exposing school fund fraud rocketing to the top. Ashes indeed, stirring into fertile soil. Momentum built like a gathering storm, electric and inevitable. Pulse Truth infiltrated the mainstream, picked up by indie podcasts and viral TikToks where Gen Z creators dissected Alex's original Voss exposé, frame by frozen frame. Jordan's innovation, a blockchain verification layer, made tips tamper-proof, turning skeptics into evangelists. They moved operations to a shared loft in Bushwick, graffiti-splashed walls vibrating with bass from the club downstairs, the air perennially hazy with weed and possibility. Mornings started with espresso from a hissing machine, steam rising like dreams materialized, Alex scribbling headlines while Jordan debugged over croissants that flaked onto keyboards. Their love wove through it all, effortless and profound, stolen glances over monitors that lingered into touches, a hand on the small of the back guiding through crowded meetups. At one, a warehouse party fundraiser thumping with synth beats and rainbow flags, Alex watched Jordan charm investors, her laugh cutting through the din like sunlight. Pride swelled in Alex's chest, hot and fierce, until Jordan pulled her into a shadowed corner, away from the strobe lights and sweat-slick dancers. "Dance with me," Jordan breathed, hips swaying close, the bassline pulsing through their veins. Alex's hands found Jordan's waist, pulling her flush, the world narrowing to the heat between them, breath sinking in ragged harmony. Lips met in the dark, tasting of gin and rebellion. A slow grind that built to gasp stifled against collarbones. "I love you," Alex whispered, the words a vow etched in the club's humid air. "More than the fight." Jordan's response was a bite to her earlobe, playful and possessive. "Good. Because the empire's ours." But Harlan loomed, a specter refusing burial. Subpoenas arrived, Voss Media suing for defamation, their lawyers circling like wolves in pinstripes. Court dates loomed, the loft's buzz turning tense, arguments flaring over takeout cooling on the table. Alex snapping about risks, Jordan countering with code printouts smeared in soy sauce. One evening, as twilight bled purple over the rooftops, Alex cracked open a bottle of cheap Merlot, the cork popping like a gunshot. They sat cross-legged on the floor, backs against the couch, glasses clinking in uneasy truce. What if we lose everything? Alex voiced the fear aloud, voice small amid the echo of freight trains rumbling nearby. Jordan set her glass down, crawling over to straddle Alex's lap, hands framing her face with that unshakable tenderness. Then we start again. You and me. Always. Their kiss deepened, wine-tinged and desperate, clothes shedding like old skins, fingers exploring with reverent hunger, moans mingling with the distant wail of a saxophone from the street. In the tangle of sheets later, Jordan's head on Alex's stomach, Alex traced constellations on her lover's skin, the rise and fall of breath a lullaby. Harlan's empire was cracking. Internal leaks flooding Pulse Truth employees jumping ship. But the trial would test them, a crucible of lies and spotlights. Alex closed her eyes, Jordan's warmth seeping into her bones, and for the first time, believed they could forge gold from the grind. The courtroom in Lower Manhattan was a coliseum of polished wood and fluorescent glare, air conditioned to a chill that raised goosebumps on Alex's arms beneath her best blazer. Spectators packed the benches, activists with signs folded discreetly, reporters scribbling like conspirators, while Harlan Voss sat at the plaintiff's table, his suit impeccable, eyes locked on Alex like a predator scenting blood. The gavel cracked, sharp as a whip, and the circus began. Voss's attorneys parading witnesses, painting Alex as a jilted vendetta seeker, her queerness twisted into motive. Miss Harper's personal life bled into her work. One sneered, voice dripping condescension, the words landing like slaps. Alex gripped the stand's edge, knuckles whitening, the scent of lemon polish and stale coffee churning her gut. Flashes popped from phones smuggled past bailiffs, the murmur of the crowd a low roar in her ears. Jordan sat in the front row, her presence a lifeline. Thumb up in subtle encouragement, eyes fierce with that love that said, "We've got this." Testifying felt like vivisection. Reliving the rejection, Harlan's grip tightening on her arm in that empty conference room, his breath hot with bourbon as he hissed, "You'll pay for choosing that." Alex's voice held steady, though her throat burned, detailing the sabotage, the pulled story, the planted doubts. "He crushed my career because I wouldn't be his," she said, meeting his gaze across the room, the air thickening with unspoken venom. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Jordan's hand found hers during recess, in the shadowed hallway where echoes bounced off marble floors, squeezing until the tremor subsided. "You're dismantling him," Jordan whispered, forehead to Alex's, the faint citrus of her lotion a balm. They slipped into a stairwell for air, backs pressed to cold concrete, kisses frantic and affirming, teeth grazing, hands wandering under jackets in a stolen rush of heat that chased the court's sterility. Back inside, the tide turned. Their attorney Lena unleashed the app's data trove, verified tips chaining Harlan to the corruption Alex first exposed. Jurors leaned forward, brows furrowing as exhibits scrolled, emails, wire transfers, a digital noose tightening. Harlan's face paled, sweat beading on his brow like dew on a dying leaf. Verdict day dawned muggy, humidity clinging like dread. Alex paced the loft, nails bitten raw, Jordan brewing tea with shaking hands, the kettles whistle a shrill alarm. The call came mid-sip, dismissed. Defamation thrown out. Voss Media's empire teetering on scandal's edge. Alex hooped, spinning Jordan in a dizzy whirl, laughter bubbling up wet with tears. They collapsed onto the rug, bodies entwining in victorious abandon. Slow caresses building to crescendos of cries that rattled the windows. The city outside a blur of cheers from notifications exploding on silence phones. Pulse Truth surged to 1 million users, partnerships flooding in from ethical outlets, their faces on billboards overlooking Times Square. But victory tasted bittersweet. Harlan's resignation made headlines, yet the scars lingered, trust fractured, nights haunted by what-ifs. Still, in the quiet hours, Jordan's head on Alex's pillow, fingers laced in sleep, Alex whispered to the dark, "We built it. Us." From ashes an empire rose, not of stone but of stories reclaimed, love uncrushed, a testament that what they tried to break only made them unbreakable. Months blurred into a whirlwind of boardroom battles and late-night strategy sessions. The loft evolving from crash pad to command center. Exposed brick walls now sported whiteboards scrawled with growth metrics. User spikes graphed in Jordan's precise script. Revenue projections circled in Alex's looping cursive. The air hummed with the constant ping of incoming tips, mingled with the earthy bite of Jordan's matcha lattes and the faint ozone tang from overheating routers. Alex thrived in the chaos, her reporter's instincts sharpened into CEO steel. She negotiated with venture capitalists over Zoom calls from the fire escape, skyline sprawling behind her like a conquered kingdom. "We're not just an app," she'd pitch, voice steady as the Hudson's flow. "We're the pulse of the unheard, queer communities, marginalized voices, rewriting the narrative." Investors nodded, checkbooks itching, drawn to the authenticity that radiated from her and Jordan. A duo inseparable as code and command line. Jordan, ever the visionary, iterated relentlessly. AI filters to flag deepfakes, gamified rewards for verified submissions, turning users into stakeholders. Her hands, callous from endless typing, would ache by midnight. Alex would draw baths scented with eucalyptus, steam fogging the tiny bathroom mirror as she massaged oil into Jordan's palms, thumbs pressing deep into knots that yielded with soft sighs. "You're carrying the world," Alex murmured one such night. Water lapping gently at the tub's edge, Jordan's head lolling back against the porcelain. Jordan's eyes fluttered open, lazy with relief, a smile tugging her lips. "Only half. You got the rest." Their laughter echoed off tiles, dissolving into splashes and kisses that tasted of salt and suds, bodies slick and buoyant in the warm cocoon. Emerging pruned and glowing, wrapped in threadbare towels, they'd collapse onto the bed, the mattress dipping under shared weight, limbs tangling as sleep claimed them to the lullaby of distant traffic. But expansion bred vipers. Competitors, legacy media dinosaurs smelling blood. Poached talent with fat salaries, whispering doubts about sustainability. One defection stung deep. Raj, their lead developer, a non-binary kid who'd bonded with Jordan over late-night burrito runs, jumped to a Voss remnant for double pay. The email hit during a team huddle, screens flickering in the loft's open space, the room falling silent save for the drip of a forgotten faucet. Jordan's face crumpled just for a second, betrayal flashing like a buffer error, before she squared her shoulders. "Their loss," she said, voice pitched bright, but Alex saw the fracture, the way Jordan's fingers drummed the table later, nails bitten to stubs. That night, as thunderheads gathered over Queens, Alex found Jordan on the roof, staring at the storm's underbelly, wind whipping her hair into a frenzy. Rain started as fat drops spotting the concrete, then sheeting down in earnest. Alex shrugged off her hoodie, draping it over Jordan's shoulders, pulling her close against the gale. "Hey," Alex said softly over the roar, chin hooked on Jordan's shoulder. "We're not them. We build, not burn." Jordan turned, water streaming down her face, tears or rain impossible to tell, and crushed their mouths together, fierce and feral, hands fisting in wet fabric. They stumbled back inside, trails of puddles marking their path, peeling off sodden clothes in the hallway, urgency building like the tempest outside. Against the wall, then the floor, then the bed, every surface a canvas for reclamation, moans swallowed by thunderclaps, bodies shuddering in release that washed away the day's grime. Dawn broke clear, and Jordan coded a retention algorithm over breakfast, her grin defiant. The empire flexed unbowed. Pulse Truth Inc. deals with universities for journalism fellowships, launched a podcast arm featuring survivor spotlights that climbed Spotify charts. Alex's book pitch, Ashes to Amplifiers, landed a six-figure advance from a progressive press. Her words raw, unflinching, pouring out in fevered bursts at the kitchen table. Jordan proofreading with red pen in hand, debates sparking over plot twists that ended in playful wrestles across the linoleum. Yet Harlan's ghost lingered, a subpoena for trade secrets forcing depositions that dredged up old wounds. In a sterile conference room smelling of bleach and bureaucracy, Alex faced his proxy lawyers, their questions probing like scalpels. "Isn't it true your relationship biases your reporting?" The air grew thick, Alex's pulse thundering in her ears, but she leaned forward, eyes like flint. "My love makes me sharper. It reminds me what's at stake." Jordan waited outside, pacing the lobby's marble, her text lighting up Alex's phone mid-break. "You're a force. Come home to me." The session ended in adjournment, another delay in Harlan's endless war. But Alex emerged lighter, hailing a cab through slushy streets, the city's holiday lights twinkling prematurely against gray skies. Home meant Jordan's arms, a dinner of takeout pad thai steaming on plates, chopsticks clacking as they recounted the absurdity. "They think we're the villain origin story," Alex snorted, sauce dripping onto her chin. Jordan wiped it with her thumb, sucking it clean with a wink that sent heat pooling low. "Nah, we're the heroes. Messy, hot, unstoppable." The meal devolved into dessert of each other. Fingers sticky, laughter muffled against skin, the bed creaking under rhythms as familiar as breathing. In the hush after, Jordan's voice soft against Alex's ear. "What if we go public? The wedding thing?" Alex's heart stuttered, joy blooming sharp and sweet. "Yeah," she breathed. "Let's make it official. Empire and all." Invites went out to a rooftop ceremony, RSVPs flooding in from allies worldwide. But as snow dusted the parapets, a final Harlan salvo landed. Anonymized leaked to tabloids, twisting their story into lesbian power couple's ruthless rise. Revenge porn for the woke elite. The internet ignited, death threats pinging their inboxes, the loft's security upgraded overnight. Alex fielded calls from panicked sponsors, her voice a steel thread holding frayed edges. Jordan, pale but resolute, fortified the app's moderation bots, her code a digital moat. They stood together at the window that eve, city blanketed in white, flakes swirling like confetti in reverse. "He's scared," Jordan said, hand slipping into Alex's back pocket anchoring. Alex nodded, turning to capture Jordan's lips in a kiss that promised forever. Gentle at first, then deepening with the weight of battles won. Clothes whispered to the floor, bodies mapping scars and strengths in the firelight from a single candle, gasps punctuating the storm's hush outside. Climax came in waves, crashing and cresting, leaving them entwined, breath sinking in peaceful cadence. The wedding dawned crisp, vows exchanged under a canopy strung with fairy lights, guests toasting with champagne flutes chiming like bells. Harlan's shadow? Fading. Their empire? Thriving, a beacon for the broken to rebuild. The wedding's afterglow lingered like fine bourbon, warm in the veins, but reality's bite returned swift as a hangover. Pulse Truth's user base swelled past 2 million, servers straining under the load, forcing Jordan into all-nighters with a team of devs now numbering a dozen. Diverse hires from hackathons in Atlanta to coding boot camps in Seattle. Their voices a babble of accents filling the loft's expanded war room. The space had metastasized. Modular desks crammed with monitors glowing blue, whiteboards evolving into digital touchscreens smeared with virtual ink. Air thick with the buzz of fans and the sharp zest of energy gels. Jordan popped like candy, her focus laser-sharp even as exhaustion etched lines under her eyes. Alex, balancing CO duties with her book tour, jetted between coasts. Panels in LA where palm fronds rustled against hotel windows, signings in Chicago where lake wind whipped pages from fans' hands. Each homecoming was a ritual. Key turning in the lock at odd hours, the apartment's familiar creak welcoming her to Jordan curled on the couch, laptop balanced on knees, code scrolling like a digital river. "Missed you," Alex would breathe, dropping her bag to kneel, hands sliding up Jordan's thighs, eliciting a distracted hum that bloomed into a full shiver. Jordan's fingers would pause, then save and close, pulling Alex up for a kiss that started sweet, lips brushing tentative, tasting of mint gum and midnight resolve, before igniting, urgent and reclaiming. Against the cushions, clothes hiked and discarded, they'd move with the ease of lovers who knew every curve, every gasped trigger. Jordan's nails raking Alex's back in arcs that left faint trails, Alex's mouth mapping collarbones to the valley between breasts, breaths hitching in unison. Post-bliss haze tangled in throw blankets smelling of wool, and them they debrief. Alex venting tour anecdotes over cold pizza slices, Jordan sketching app updates on napkins, grease spots blooming like abstract art. But growth's shadow lengthened. Regulatory scrutiny from FCC suits wary of unlicensed journalism, audits probing their books for influence peddling. Harlan, slinking into semi-retirement on a yacht off the Hamptons, funneled cash to lobbyists, His op-eds in dying print rags decrying Pulse Truth as echo chamber anarchy. One such piece hit during Alex's keynote at a DC Media Summit, projected on a jumbotron for emphasis by a heckler in the crowd, a balding suit with a Voss pin, voice booming through the auditorium speakers. "This is what happens when personal vendettas masquerade as progress." Gasps rippled, phones rising to capture the chaos. Alex's podium mic hot in her grip. Heart hammering, she stepped forward. The room's air conditioner humming like judgment. "Vendetta? Try survival," she shot back, voice carrying clear and cutting. "He tried to erase me for loving a woman, for speaking truth. We built this from nothing, for everyone he's silenced." Applause erupted thunderous, drowning the heckler's sputter. But backstage, Alex sagged against cinderblock walls, nausea roiling. Jordan's video call connected instantly, her face pixelated but fierce from the loft. "Breathe, babe. You're slaying dragons." The sight of her, hair in a messy bun, glasses perched low, steadied Alex, enough for a watery laugh. "Get me home." Flight delayed by crosswinds, Alex paced the terminal, stale pretzel scent cloying, until wheels touched down at LaGuardia under a bruised sky. Jordan waited curbside, engine idling in their beat-up Prius, pulling Alex into the passenger seat for a kiss that fogged the windows. Deep, devouring hands cupping faces as horns blared impatiently. Home meant shedding the day's armor. Shower steam thick with jasmine body wash, water cascading over shoulders as they washed away tension. Soapy hands gliding exploratory, turning cleansing to caress, to press against tile where moans echoed off porcelain. Drying off, towel turbans askew, they raided the fridge for midnight waffles drowned in syrup, sticky fingers leading to lapse in laughter, bed claiming them in a syrup-sweet sprawl. Yet threats escalated, swatting calls to the office, forcing evacuations that left staff shaken, huddled in coffee shops with laptops like refugees. Jordan's paranoia peaked, installing keyloggers on her own machines, her once fluid coding stiffening with second guesses. "What if he's inside?" she'd mutter at 3 a.m., eyes bloodshot in the laptop's glow, the room's shadows pooling like ink. Alex would coax the device away, drawing Jordan to bed, body spooning tight. Alex's arm banded across Jordan's waist, leg hooked possessive, whispers weaving through hair. "He's outside. We're locked." Sleep came fitful, dreams of crumbling code and shattered screens, but morning light filtered through blinds. Jordan stirring first to brew coffee, its drip a metronome of normalcy. They pivoted. A security overhaul, partnering with ethical hackers for penetration tests. The loft briefly a fortress of Ethernet cables snaking like veins. Successes piled. Pulse Truth's expose on a pharma price gouging scandal broke nationally, crediting community tips. Alex's byline gleaming in syndication. Celebrations meant rooftop toasts with the team, skyline ablaze at dusk, laughter cutting the chill as corks popped and stories swapped. Jordan and Alex stole away to the edge, backs to the parapet, city hum far below. "To us," Jordan toasted, glasses clinking, her free hand tracing Alex's palm. The kiss followed, wine warm and lingering, escalating as the party noise faded. Hands under hems, breaths quickening until they retreated to the loft below. Door barely shut before urgency took over. Against the kitchen island, then the stairs, a trail of discarded shoes and shirts leading to the bedroom where release came in shuddering waves, limbs quaking, voices blending in ecstatic chorus. In the afterquiet, Jordan's head on Alex's chest, heartbeat a steady drum. "Empire solid. But you? You're my world." Alex smiled into the dark, fingers combing curls, but a ping shattered peace. An alert of a new leak, Harlan's yacht photos tagged with veiled threats. The fight reignited, fiercer, their bond the unyielding core. Scaling hit warp speed, Pulse Truth morphing from scrappy startup to media juggernaut. Offices relocating to a sun-drenched Soho warehouse with exposed ducts groaning like old lungs and walls papered in user-submitted murals. Vibrant murals of fists raised, rainbows intertwined with quills. The air thrummed with espresso machines hissing and printers whirring, undercut by the faint, persistent hum of servers in a climate-controlled annex. Jordan helmed product, her days a blur of sprint planning and beta tests, emerging from war rooms with marker streaks on her cheeks like war paint. Her grin triumphant as she demoed voice-activated tip submissions for accessibility. No barriers, she'd say, voice alight, demoing for Alex over lunch. Sandwiches from the corner deli, pastrami greasy and piled high, eaten at a communal table buzzing with interns debating ethics. Alex, now editor-in-chief, curated the feed with a hawk's eye. Her office a glass-walled area overlooking the floor, stacks of tablets displaying global stories. A Manila factory strike, a Berlin Pride crackdown, threads weaving worldwide. Her book launched to acclaim, signings drawing lines around blocks. Fans pressing dog-eared copies into her hands with tales that fed back into the app. A virtuous loop. Evenings unwound in rhythm. Jordan arriving home first to their adjacent rooftop apartment, now with the hot tub bubbling under string lights. Drawing baths laced with rose salts that perfumed the air like a hothouse. Alex would slip in behind, shedding stilettos at the door. The steam enveloping her like a sigh as Jordan's hands worked shampoo into her scalp, fingers rhythmic and soothing, eliciting groans that bordered on moans. Rough day. Jordan would tease, nails grazing her neck. Alex's reply a hum, head tipping back, water sluicing down as she twisted for a kiss, wet, wanting bubbles popping softly around them. Baths led to bedrooms, towels discarded on heated floors, bodies exploring with the leisure of lovers secure. Jordan's tongue tracing hip bones, Alex's gasps filling the room like music, climaxes rolling slow and deep, leaving them languid, sheets twisted like abstract sculptures. But Harlan's vendetta metastasized, a cancer unchecked. From his gilded exile he orchestrated shadow campaigns, bots amplifying smears, sources feeding rags tales of app-fueled misinformation, queer-baiting Alex and Jordan as agenda pushers. A viral deepfake surfaced. Alex confessing to fabricating stories, her face eerily convincing, voice modulated to a lilting betrayal. It exploded across platforms, stocks dipping, sponsors waffling. Crisis mode hit the warehouse like a blackout, lights dimming metaphorically as staff huddled in the conference room. Fluorescent buzz mocking their frenzy, stale donuts crumbling under stressed fingers. Jordan dissected the fake in real time, her code unraveling the forgery layer by layer, face illuminated ghostly by the projector. Watermark artifacts, she announced, triumph edging exhaustion, the room exhaling collective. Alex fielded press, her statements clipped and fierce, broadcast from the rooftop where wind tugged at her hair like insistent fingers. This is what suppression looks like, she told the camera, skyline framing her resolve. We verify. They fabricate. Backlash boomeranged. Users rallying with truth over fakes, donations surging to fund watermark tech. But the toll carved deep. Jordan's migraines flared, pulsing behind her eyes like faulty code, forcing her to bed with ice packs and blackout curtains, the apartment dim as a cave. Alex would read aloud from fan letters, voice soft in the hush, her hand stroking Jordan's forehead, cool cloth refreshing sweat-damp skin. Listen to this one, from a kid in rural Texas, says the app gave her courage to come out. Jordan's smile was faint but real, fingers squeezing Alex's. Worth it. Nights like those stretch tender. Alex curling around Jordan's smaller frame, breath sinking slow, the city's nocturnal symphony, distant jazz from a bar, owl hoots from Washington Square, lulling them. Yet doubt crept, a whisper in quiet hours. Harlan's latest move, a class action suit from defamed execs, draining coffers on legal fees. Team morale frayed, resignations trickling. Overwork, burnout, the grind's invisible wear. One rainy Tuesday as gutters gurgled outside, Alex called an all-hands, voice echoing off high ceilings. We're not just surviving. We're redefining. Eyes met hers, nods rippling, Jordan's proud gleam from the front row fueling her. Post-meeting they escaped to the hot tub, jets massaging knotted backs, steam rising in lazy spirals. You own that, Jordan said, floating close, legs tangling underwater. Alex pulled her nearer, water sloshing, lips finding the curve of Jordan's shoulder, nipping gently. We own it. The kiss ignited, hands roaming slick expanses, rising from the tub in a trail of droplets to the lounger, where urgency unfolded under the drizzle, skin chilled then flushed, cries swallowed by thunder, union a defiant blaze. Dawn brought breakthroughs. Suit dismissed on procedural grounds, Harlan's lawyers fumbling like drunks. Pulse Truth pivoted to VR immersives, users walking protest lines virtually, empathy coded in pixels. Alex's TED Talk went viral, her story from crush to crest, drawing tears and standing ovations, Jordan watching from the wings, eyes shining wet. Homecoming mint celebration. Candlelit dinner on the rooftop, steak sizzling on a portable grill, smoke curling acrid and appetizing, wine flowing ruby in glasses. Toasts led to dances, slow turns under stars peeking through clouds, bodies pressed close, heartbeats conversing. The night peaked in the bedroom, windows open to night air crisp with autumn bite. Love making a symphony of sighs and skin slaps, peaking in harmonious release that left them gasping, entwined, the empire's pulse echoing their own. Empire solidified into legacy, Pulse Truth a household name, billboards in Times Square pulsing with taglines, "Your story unsilenced," while subsidiaries sprouted. A publishing imprint greenlighting queer memoirs, a streaming arm producing docuseries on underreported injustices. The Soho hub expanded, annexing adjacent lofts into a creative commune, air alive with solder smoke from maker spaces, and the yeasty rise of communal bread ovens tended by wellness interns. Jordan, elevated to CTO, commanded boardrooms with quiet authority, her presentations a blend of tech jargon and heartfelt anecdotes, slides clicking like puzzle pieces locking. Sleepless Innovations birthed features, anonymity cloaks using zero-knowledge proofs, global translation layers bridging languages in real time. Her hands, now adorned with a simple gold band from their vows, flew across touchpads, but fatigue shadowed her, coughs rattling dry in quiet moments. Alex noticed, concern knitting her brow during strategy lunches, salads wilted under fluorescent lights, forks tinkling against bowls. Pushing too hard? She probed gently, foot nudging Jordan's under the table, a secret anchor. Jordan waved it off with a smirk, but nights revealed truth. Fevers spiking, sheets damp, Alex fetching ginger tea that steamed herbal and sharp, spooning it to Jordan's lips in the lamplight's golden pool. "Just a bug," Jordan rasped, but her eyes, fever-bright, held fear. Alex mirrored. Doctors confirmed flu, then pneumonia, stubborn, seeded by stress's soil. Hospital stays blurred. Sterile beeps punctuating 4 drips. The scent of antiseptic clashing with Jordan's lavender lotion. Alex reapplied religiously. Alex camped in vinyl chairs, laptop balanced on knees, fielding crises remotely. Voice memos to the team, her tone steady steel masking the crack beneath. "She's fighting," Alex updated daily huddles. Video feed from the room where monitors glowed behind her, Jordan's hand limp in hers. Visitors cycled. Lena with legal briefs and bad jokes, team members with care packages of Jordan's favorite matcha and dog-eared sci-fi paperbacks. Harlan exploited the void. A smear piece in a Murdoch rag timing perfectly with Jordan's admission. Founder's folly. How personal drama dooms digital dreams. Stocks wobbled, whispers of buyouts slithering through investor calls. Alex's rage simmered, channeled into a blistering op-ed that trended, framing the attack as patriarchal panic. "He's not crushing careers anymore," she wrote, fingers flying furious on her phone in the hospital cafeteria, fluorescent hum droning. "He's clawing at our joy." Recovery was grueling. Jordan discharged to home care. The apartment a nest of humidifiers gurgling misty and pill organizers clicking open like tiny vaults. Alex balanced it all. Mornings at the office rallying with keynotes that ignited rooms, evenings nursing broths fragrant with lemongrass, reading drafts aloud to Jordan propped on pillows, her laughter weak but warming the space. Intimacy shifted tender. No fire, just closeness. Alex spooning Jordan under quilts heavy with down, breaths feathering neck hair, fingers tracing arms in soothing loops. "Don't leave me to this alone," Jordan murmured one midnight, voice small, monitors green glow casting ethereal light. Alex's throat tightened. Kiss pressed to temple salty with sweat. "Never. Empire's half yours, heart's all." Whispers led to gentle explorations when strength returned. Hands tentative, lips brushing exploratory, rebuilding connection in sighs soft as snowfall. Harlan's final gambit crested then. A hostile takeover bid through a shell company. Proxies voting shares at an emergency board meeting in a midtown high-rise. Glass walls reflecting storm clouds boiling. Alex arrived disheveled, hair windswept from the dash, facing suits with Harlan's smug proxy at the helm. Time to fold, he drawled, cigar smoke wreaking havocs on the air. Alex's laugh was ice, presentation cued. User testimonials scrolling, impact metrics soaring, millions empowered, injustices toppled. Fold? We're the table. Vote swung, bid crushed, Harlan's face twisting in the rearview as she exited, elevator dinging like victory bells. Home to Jordan, convalescing on the couch with a tablet, Alex burst in, scooping her up despite protests, spinning slow in the foyer. We won. Jordan's arms looped her neck, kiss deepening with returning vigor, hunger building, carrying to the bedroom where recovery met reclamation. Bodies aligning careful then bold, gasps gaining volume, union of phoenix rise, cries peaking in shared ecstasy that healed more than meds. Post-glow, Jordan's head on Alex's shoulder, voice husky. Told you. Unbreakable. The app commemorated with a feature drop. Health tip lines for activists. Coded in Jordan's honor. Users flooding gratitude. Alex's book sequel outlined. Chapters weaving their saga into broader anthems. Harlan faded to irrelevance. His yacht sold at auction. Scandals claiming his name. Their empire? A living monument. Branches extending to scholarships for queer journalists. Global summits fostering solidarity. Evenings now meant walks in Washington Square. Leaves crunching under boots. Hands clasped against autumn chill. Archway lamps casting halos. From ashes, Alex mused. Bench creaking as they sat. Jordan's head on her shoulder. To this. Kiss under stars, soft and sure. The world's weight lighter shared. Legacy crystallized in the new year. Pulse Truth, a colossus striding digital frontiers. Annual galas packing Lincoln Center with influencers and survivors. Chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold. Air perfumed with orchids and ambition. Jordan fully restored and radiant. Keynote the event. Stage lights bathing her in azure. Voice resonant as she unveiled AI ethics protocols. Crowd roaring approval. Alex watched from wings, pride swelling chest tight. Her gown whispering silk against skin as she joined for the close, hands clasping mid-stage, vows renewed in ad-libbed lines that drew cheers and tears. After-party spilled to rooftops, jazz trios sax wailing sultry over the din, champagne flutes bubbling effervescent. They danced pressed close, Jordan's cheek to Alex's, whispers lost in melody. Still can't believe we. Alex's laugh vibrated through them, hands playing possessive on Jordan's back. Believe it. Live it. The night waned to their penthouse suite. Cityscape sprawling panoramic from floor to ceiling glass. Skyline a jeweled vein. Clothes shed in moonlight trails, bodies familiar yet ever new. Explorations languid, then fervent, lips charting paths worn deep, fingers coaxing symphonies of shudders, peaks crashing in harmonious waves that left them boneless, sheets cool against fevered skin. Dawn crept rosy, coffee brewing slow. Mugs steaming as they plotted expansions. Satellite offices in London. Apps localized for Indigenous voices in Australia. Harlan's obituary crossed desks months later. Heart attack. Irony noted in hushed tones, his empire dust. No gloating, just closure. A quiet toast at dawn, glasses etched with their initials, overlooking the river's gleam. To ends, Jordan said, clink soft. And beginnings. Alex's book series bloomed. Adaptations greenlit for Netflix. Ironic, their stories scripted by queer showrunners, sets buzzing with authenticity. Jordan consulted on tech integrations, her input weaving realism into drama. Life layered richer. Adopting a rescue mutt named Ember, fur shedding on rugs, paws pattering joyful. Weekend getaways to the Catskills, cabins creaking under snow loads, fireplaces crackling resinous, hikes through pines scented sharp and green. Picnics on boulders where kisses tasted of wild berries. Intimacy deepened unhurried. Mornings with sunlight slanting gold. Bodies entwining lazy, touches reverent. Gasps blooming slow like flowers unfurling. Challenges persisted. Data breaches patched in frantic all-nighters. Ethical debates raging in boardrooms over content moderation. Alex mediating with reporters' finesse. Jordan's logic the scalpel. A cyber attack traced to foreign actors tested metal. But redundancies held, users' trust ironclad. They emerged stronger, testifying before Congress on digital rights. Alex's words slicing through partisan fog, Jordan's demos illuminating paths forward. Homecomings meant rituals. Jordan's arms from behind at the stove, chin on shoulder as pasta sauce simmered garlicky, spins into kisses that singed edges. Dinner can wait, Alex murmur, counter cool under hips, urgency building to countertop crescendos, laughter echoing post-climax over cooling plates. Years folded. Silver anniversaries marked with trips to Santorini, white-washed cliffs echoing vows renewed in Aegean sun, swims in cerulean waters cool and embracing. Pulse Truth Global, impacting revolutions sparked from tips, women's rights in Tehran, climate whistleblows in the Amazon. Their foundation funded scholarships, mints rising in their image. Fierce, loving, uncrushed. Retirement loomed distant, a horizon they eyed curious, not weary. Perhaps a vineyard in Napa, vines twisting like code, stories told over wine to wide-eyed grandkids, actual or metaphorical. One twilight on their balcony, ember snoozing at feet, city hum a lullaby below. Alex turned to Jordan, lines etched soft around eyes, hands weathered but sure. He tried to end us. Jordan's smile crinkled corners, fingers lacing eternal. But we authored the sequel. Kiss sealed it, sunset painting them. Amber, tender, profound, a lifetime's arc. From ashes, not ruin but renaissance. Love's empire enduring, etched in stars and stories, a beacon whispering to the broken rise. Rebuild. Rain.